100 years ago, in my eyes, it started the modern history by a non-Israeli institute that speaks about the right of Jews to build a home here in Eretz Israel. And I know that in many cases worldwide, we hear that the modern history started in 1967. So let me shed a bit of light about the real modern history, in my eyes. Bלפור Declaration was the first phase. The second phase was 1947, when the Israeli Institute at that time accepted the partition plan that was confirmed by the United Nations Assembly in 29th of November 1947. Can you imagine that at that time, 2 years after the Holocaust, after we lost 6 million of Jewish people, including many family members of myself, can you imagine that 2 years after, the Jewish Institute in Israel accepted the partition plan that says that we are getting only 55% of the land between the Jordan Valley and the Mediterranean, that half of the Galilee is not going to be Israeli, the seashore is going to be very narrow, a crossing at the Israeli valley from the east side of the Galilee into the seashore, and the Gaza Strip was 10 times bigger than it is today, 10 times bigger. The North Pole of the Gaza Strip was near Rehovot, post Yavne. I'm living in Ashkelon, so I would have been here to brief you as a citizen of the Arab state. And above all, Jerusalem was not under Israeli sovereignty. Can you imagine that the Jewish administration at that time accepted a partition plan that the state of Israel will not include Jerusalem under its sovereignty? I'm telling you today, it can't work as a joke. But nevertheless, we accepted it. But as usual, the Arabs saved us. They rejected the partition plan, waged a war, 7 armies of 7 countries, and the independence war started. The third phase was 1949, when the war was ended, when Israel got 78% of the land, including the whole Galilee, wider seashore, and the whole Negev. And the part of Jerusalem, the west side of Jerusalem, without the holy places for Jewish people, like the Western Wall, the Old City, Rachel Tomb, etc. So that's the third phase. The fourth phase is 67. But not the result of the war, the beginning of the war. Because in 1967, we all remember, during May, Gamal Abdel Nasser, at that time the president of the Egyptian Republic at that time, he waged a war against Israel, or he blocked the straits that lead to Eilat, kicked off all United Nations troops from Sinai and Gaza Strip, and we well understood that it's going to be opened a war, and like we say in translation to a saying, before they are going to have us for dinner, we are going to have them for lunch. And that's what happened. So we are sorry we won the war against Egypt in 67. So it created the 67 line, which means the 49 line of post the independence war. King Hussein, the king of Jordan, was loud and clear, heard from the Israelis, we don't have any intention to open fire against Jordan. But he was convinced by